This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'm just going to give it about one more minute or so for everybody to join, and then we're going to dive into our second agent training. Let me share my screen with you too as well. All right, and then while we're just waiting for other folks to join us today, just to kind of branch off from our last training, I know we covered quite a bit here with the system, like how we're going to be making our calls and a little bit about how smart campaigns work and like that, but I wanted to kind of touch back on a little bit more about smart campaigns and how we can really get this thing working well for us so that, it saves us time, saves us some energy. We can kind of skip some steps and make sure that this system is running alongside our business so we can kind of maximize the time we have out there in the field and out there within the community. So what I'll do today is just kind of touch on a couple key points. I may have mentioned a little bit about some lead engine stuff, but some of the content that I'll be going over today will probably overlap with a little bit of what I went over last time. So we'll be touching a little bit about listings and then lead engine as well. So we'll cover some stuff about lead engine. And as we go down, we may even, if we have time, we'll touch a little bit on Web and IDX. So how do we get our site branded the way we want it to look, or kind of get the feel in place there. So that's sort of the itinerary. And like always, there is a chat box in the GoToMeeting panel. So feel free to ask questions. It's super highly encouraged that now's the time to get your feedback in. Now that you had time to kind of explore the platform a little bit, we want to make sure that any sort of limitations you're having or confusion here with the platform as it relates to your day-to-day, we want to make sure we get all that stuff out here in the open. So if you want to throw that in the chat box, or if you want to unmute yourself, we can kind of make some time for that toward the tail end of the training to kind of cover those questions. So, if you see something, say something, right? Okay. All right, so then let's get going. Now that we're recording, I'm just going to kind of dive in here straight to the listings. I want to make sure we cover all the content today. So I'm going to start here on listings, and then we'll just kind of go down the line here. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, let me go and do a real-time example of getting our listing process created. So, and what I mean by that is like, in order to get more listings, we need to get out there and get some seller-oriented, marketing to capture that new seller, and then I'm going to show you how to use specific tools to really get them through where we need them to go to inevitably get them onto a seller-oriented smart campaign or action plan or smart campaign, drip campaign. Yeah. All right. So then let me do this. First thing that I'm going to do is I want to point you toward the lead engine. So let me click into lead engine. And so what we're going to be doing, actually, I'm skipping a step. I apologize for that. I'm going to leave lead engine open, but I want to also open up listings. What I'm going to do here is point you toward this manual button here within the listings tab. So as you may have already noticed here with the IDX and the MLS data that's coming in here to the platform, we have all of our listing data kind of published here. So if we wanted to filter, and I don't have any listings specifically, so I couldn't show you something that I have, but what I can do is point you toward this manual button. I'm going to click on that. And what we're going to be doing here is creating a coming soon listing, right? So in a moment, I'm going to go out and build a landing page to inevitably capture that seller and kind of direct them toward getting a free home valuation, but I'm going to put a little bit more context on it to make sure that my lead quality that comes through isn't necessarily like a homeowner just looking to get their value, not really considering selling. They're just curious about their home's value. I'm going to go create a landing page to kind of up the quality there a little bit. And then once we have that lead come into our CRM, it's important that we have like a nurture campaign behind it. So let me do that. So let me start here with lead engine. Sorry for kind of going back and forth here. And what I'm going to do is go into landing pages, and I'm going to say start building. And then from here, and let me go ahead and get this chat box open for us. That way I can see if anybody writes in. I want to make sure that's within my eyesight here. All right. So now that we have this open, I'm going to create a quick landing page for capturing seller leads. So as you may have noticed, also there are different landing page types over here, so feel free to use those. One's for text codes, one for Facebook. We also have one for seller home valuations. I tend not to use that one, and I'll show you why here in a second. And then we have these other ones too. If you're using any videos on YouTube, we can actually bring in a video here on the landing page as well. But for this example, I'm just going to stick with lead generation, which is what we're on now. And what I'm going to say is I have 6 buyers looking to buy in the, and I'm just going to choose an area or neighborhood, and obviously this could be different from you, but Carlsbad is where I'm at. It's about an hour north of San Diego, so I'm just going to say Carlsbad School District. And this could be neighborhood or whatever you want. So I have 6 buyers looking to buy in the Carlsbad School District. Maybe I might put a little bit more emphasis on this with an exclamation point. Oops. If you double click too fast on these fields seem to disappear. So just be mindful of that. And then I'm going to say, get your free home valuation if you're considering selling. Right, so we're just pushing more beyond the get your free home value now, right? We want to explicitly tell them that we have 6 buyers that are looking to buy right now, and you can get your free home valuation if you're considering selling. So this should screen out a couple bad seeds or bad leads that are just looking for a free home valuation. However, in the nature of internet leads, you will have them. So hopefully by saying something like this, we're just going to have a more prompt to, and we're being specific to a specific, we're being specific to a certain area as well. So this could be whatever your area is here, right? So insert your area there. From here, I'm just going to get rid of some of these little bullet points, and I'm just going to double click over them to kind of leave 2 here for us. If we wanted to bring these back, we can just hit the refresh button here on our browser, and those things would come right back for us. And so from here, I'm just going to put some selling points and say free home valuation. Let's say this, free monthly home valuation. And so for those of you that don't know, also with your agent sites here, let me just click off and go to my website here. For those of you that don't know, if I am a lead and I navigate to your sell page here, we have ways to make this a recurring valuation report that is sent to your seller. So if I enter my address here and say get my estimate, then when that comes back to the CRM, they're automatically going to be put on a monthly valuation report. So each month we're going to send them over a report of what their home's worth. So that's kind of what I'm referencing here. And I'm going to say get a recurring monthly valuation. And then I'm also going to say Going to relocate. Subscribe to listing alerts to find your next dream home. All right, so that's just a couple bullet points here. Now I actually need something to signify the area. So since Carlsbad is kind of close to the beach here, I'm just going to say Carlsbad again, but you get the idea. Carlsbad, I'm going to go up here to my background. I'm going to go to custom background because I want to change out the stock image. And from here, it's going to ask me for a URL of the picture that I'd like to use. So I'll just go to Unsplash. Unsplash.com is what I like to use for my landing pages just because they're really crisp and high resolution images. All you really need to do is just copy the address here. So if you wanted to look for something specific, they're really great for marketing. So in this case, I'm just going to say beach. And let me choose something like, let me choose this one here. Because we have a couple of these little stairways here in Carlsbad. So I'm just going to say copy the image address and go over here to my landing page and then plug that right inside the custom background here. All right, so there's our custom background. And then from this point, yeah, we're just going to see, we're going to change the button text down below. It says get home valuation. Gosh, I cannot type today. Home valuation. So now that button text reads down there. And it looks like these buttons came back for us. URL after they log in. So this is where we're going to be sending the lead after they opt in. If we leave this field blank, they're just going to go back to our home page here. So we want to make sure they go to our sell page, which is this one here, right? So it's our little sell link on our website. So I'm just going to copy this, go back to our landing page and paste that in there. So now they're going to go back to my sell page to get their home valuation once they opt in here. And hashtag, I'm just going to say Carlsbad seller. So this is really important because this is how we're going to trigger our seller campaign for Carlsbad specific homeowners. So really important, we want to keep that in there. And so from this point, let me go ahead and get rid of these little bullet points that seem to be popping up again. And I'm going to click save. And one thing you're going to notice is that once we build our landing pages here is we don't actually store these links for you. Okay, so there's no place to actually find these in KvCORE. So my sort of recommendation is if we're wanting to use these landing pages consistently or over and over, or especially if we're using landing pages for like holiday promotions or marketing promotions or offers that we're going to be having on a recurring basis, is we want to copy these links and we can store them in something like a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. That's kind of what I've done here. Is I have this whole list of links that I've used in the past, and these don't expire, so you can kind of use these over and over again. So I've made some for coming soons. I've made some for military-oriented, landing pages, virtual tours, price reductions, and all sorts of stuff here. So I would just come in here and just put that in my list of landing pages. So that way we can save those for later. All right, so now that I have my hashtag built in here, I'm going to come back to this here in a moment once we determine where we want to put this. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that kind of goes against the grain here of the flow. So let me just jump over to Facebook real quick. I'm just going to use Facebook as an example here, because the data that they have is extremely incredible, especially as it relates to getting this in front of the most relevant leads possible. So I'm just going to copy my URL to my landing page. I'm going to go over here to Facebook, and then if you have a personal page, this works as well. you can kind of boost your posts, or a business page would work well for that too. So if you come down here and just go to your page and just click paste, get rid of this link and say something like looking to sell. Let's throw in some emojis there. And how about a house? We got a house here. There used to be a house here. Let's see. Never mind, I'll scrap that idea, but you get the idea. Let's just put in a building. There we go. So once I have this, I'm just click publish. All right, so I just shared that on my company page here. These are really simple to put together, so if you haven't already made a business page, it's super simple just to go in here to your profile and just say create a page, and so then you can just go through the steps on branding yourself. It's pretty straightforward, and you can get it set up in a matter of seconds. So I'm just going to put this here on my page. You'll see that it's pulling in the background image, and it also has the title to my landing page. So I have 6 buyers. So it says looking to sell. I have 6 buyers looking to buy in the Carlsbad School District. Get your free home valuation if you're considering selling. So we're being straight upfront and forward with what we're trying to get here. If we wanted to boost this, this is where I kind of recommend a small investment if you wanted to go that route, but it's super simple just to kind of boost a post. And then you just kind of scroll down here to where it says audience of where we want to send this. We just say create a new audience. And then from here, I just want to plug in the zip code of my Carlsbad School District. So let's just do 92008. So you'll see here that I'm only targeting a specific area. So once I boost this, this is going to show only to those types of leads. I can also go down here and refine the demographics, interests, or behaviors as well, like going in here and choosing my demographics, financial, income. I could say household income, something like that, and just kind of choose these options to really refine where I want this page to sit. From that point, I would just come up here and give this thing a name, give it a name to my audience, and then I just click save. And so from that point, I would just boost it, and this would only show in the feed of homeowners or for folks or people that live in the Carlsbad area that are looking to sell their home. So once they click on this advertisement, we know where they're going to go because we've already set that up. So they're going to go right back here to our landing page we just created. Okay, and so once they come in here and plug in their email and cell phone, they're going to get their free home valuation. They're then going to be sent back to our sell page. So I'm just going to create one real quick for us so we know what's going on. David at testingseller.com. And let me just plug in any old address here. Get my free home valuation. All right. And I was just notified just a moment ago that I have a new lead. Let's go check on that. One sec, let me see why this isn't populating for us. I'll take a look at that in a second, but this would have redirected back to our sell page. I know I was just on it there a moment ago, so maybe it's something with the server or the go-to meeting that's kind of keeping that page from loading for us. But that seed came through, or that lead came through. You can see right here that I'm a new lead for a seller lead. Now we're going to notice that these come through as a new lead, buyer lead, which is, we can kind of change around the criteria here a little bit. But once we actually click into that lead, we're going to see that the hashtag Carlsbad seller is on this lead record. And so really what we want to do at this point is put them onto a seller-specific smart campaign. So far we've used our lead engine tools to create a landing page. Real quick, we threw in the content, threw in the background, then we put it on Facebook and boosted it to a specific area of Carlsbad that I was looking to go to. Once I published that, a seller came through their feed, figured out that they are in the market of selling, so they clicked on this, went to my landing page, signed up. They're now a new seller lead in my system. But now I want a smart campaign to trigger off of this hashtag. So let's go over to Marketing Autopilot real quick. Susan, I know you had asked, let's see here. Can you repeat those steps? I do have this recording, so we can definitely watch that after I shoot over this recording link to you. And he said, so there's no place we can save the landing pages in the system. Not yet. Yeah, so we have no internal way of storing those yet. Usually with landing pages, they're used infrequently, so we could store those on a Google Sheet like I mentioned before. So yeah, that'd be kind of the best practice for now if we were looking to reuse those. So definitely, yeah, good question there. So with smart campaigns, we want to create one for this hashtag specific campaign, right? So we have this Carlsbad seller hashtag. Let's copy that. And let's go over here to Marketing Autopilot. I clicked on Start a Campaign, which is where we are now. And so now what I wanted to do is go down here and add a campaign. And I'm going to say add trigger when hashtag is Carlsbad seller. And click next. I'm going to call this Carlsbad seller campaign. This is one method to do it if we're looking to create our own campaign. This will require just a little bit from you to come in and actually create the content yourself, right? So once I create that and come on down, I'm just going to change the visibility here to show me all of my campaigns that I have here. So I was looking at 20, now I want to see 50. So now I can go down here to Carlsbad seller campaign. And so from here, we can see that I've actually cloned this campaign before, but what I did, and I apologize for skipping this step real quick, is I went down here to my campaigns. Even though I just created one, I have 2 of them in here, I just noticed. So if I scroll down here a little bit, I have 2. One I just created a moment ago that doesn't have any action plans, so no templates, emails, texts. I'd have to go in and create those one by one. Another quick way to do this is just to do what I've done here with this other identical campaign. And so what I did was I pulled down our default new lead seller campaign, which is right up here in the KvCORE library. So these are 21 pre-built drip campaigns that we give you to use. And so I would just scroll down here until I get to my default new lead seller campaign. And I'm just going to say add to my library. And so there it is there. And if I click in it, I can just click the clone button. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to rename this template. I'm going to add in a trigger that says when this has a hashtag of Carlsbad seller, and I'm going to keep all the action plans here so I don't have to go reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go and reorient some of these templates that we already have. So I'm going to click clone. And when status is new lead and the hashtag is Carlsbad seller, next, seller, or let's say all actually. And then from this point, I can just call this one Carlsbad seller campaign. All right, I'll click next and next, clone. All right, so now we have a seller campaign oriented to this one specific page. So from here, I can go in and say that immediately, as soon as that lead comes in from that landing page that I just created, this email is going to go out to the contact as soon as they sign up. And that email says, thanks for visiting our site. Are you considering selling your home? If you want, we'd be happy to prepare you an even more in-depth market analysis so you can see what a buyer might pay in today's market. And it's going to have your information here. If we wanted to be if we want to do something more specific, we can come in here to templates and reword some of this to include the Carlsbad area so that they have an idea that this is more Carlsbad oriented. So it's really up to you what you'd like to do. If that was the case, we would just go back here to our templates, which I'm going to click on here in a moment, and we're going to search for that seller first email template. Okay, so click on templates. And I'm going to go search for my seller first email template, right? So I'm going to go say clone. And there it is. So thanks for visiting our site. Are you considering selling your home? If you want, we'd be more, okay, we can say, are you considering selling your home in the Carlsbad area? Uh-oh, let's see, the computer froze. Let's see, I have a little window that I can verify that my screen is on. Let me just close out this window and see if it updates for us. All right, can you guys still see my screen? I just wanted to make sure. It looks like Susan had some difficulty with the computer freezing on her side. Okay, thanks for the input. Yeah, so it looks like that may be specific to your PC, Susan, and I apologize. I do have this recording here in real time, so I'll send you over the link here in a moment after we wrap it up, and we can kind of get through that. All right, so then from here, now that I've created that template that I just created, we can go back in here to campaign and start adding in our action plans to our Carlsbad seller campaign. And so that'd just be a matter of coming down here and finding that, which was this one here. Oh, let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Show me all 50 that I have here. It looks like I have 3 of these, so I need to delete one here. So let's see, Carlsbad seller campaign. And then I can just come in here, and instead of that first sending out the email that I just created, maybe I want it to focus more on Carlsbad. So I'm just going to go in and say, instead of showing my seller first email template, let's change that out to Carlsbad seller first email. So this is a template that I just created a moment ago here in templates. So now if I click view this template, now it's going to say thanks for visiting our site. Now that you're considering selling your home, because that's what our landing page had prompted them to do, now that you're considering selling your home, we'd be happy to prepare you an even more in-depth market analysis of the Carlsbad area so you can see what our buyers might pay in today's market. So just kind of word around some text real quick. And just so you guys know, even though there's a couple steps with getting this done, you're more or less making a investment in your farm or within the market that you primarily service. So even though it takes you just a couple minutes to set up these templates, I highly recommend it. That way, once we have this thing built, we only need to do it once, and then it kind of runs itself. So if we wanted to be more specific, then this is how we're going to do it here. So now that I have that, I'm just going to click update. So now that this template will include that email, and I might go down here, we can see that this campaign specifically has a couple scheduled calls for us on day 1, day 2, day 4 to follow up with that seller to get more of an idea of what they're looking for. And then on day 5, we send a text over to the lead or to the seller as well that says seller CMA follow-up is the template, and it says, did you get the CMA I sent you? What did you think of the valuation of your home? So this is just referring to the valuation that they initially got. And the rest is just other texts and emails. So this is more or less just a way to get them to respond so we can start up the conversation so we can inevitably make them a client. Okay, so let's just say that our seller comes through our system, they put onto our nurture campaign, and they've decided to work with you. From that point, we can just go over here to our listings tab, and this is kind of where we started here. And just to kind of reiterate here, so starting off with this process of getting new listings, what we did was create a landing page, right? We created a landing page first, targeting more toward more quality leads, going over the seller premise of capturing that lead information. We forwarded that lead over to our sell page with a specific hashtag that is now triggering a seller-specific campaign for that seller. And now that we've spoken to the seller, we have them contracted, we have like a listing agreement in place. What we can do is go into listings, right? And we can go to manual. And what we're going to be doing is creating a coming soon landing page or a coming soon promotion. We want to push this on our site, right? So we're going to come here to listings. And then we're going to go to add listing. And let's see, let's do this one. And click next. So I'm not going to fill in all the details here of the listing, but obviously you would if you wanted to include all that information. You can just go up here and say listing type. It's either a coming soon, an exclusive pocket listing, or a just sold. These are the only types that we can add within our manual listings because these are obviously off the MLS. And so these will be updated on our website. So now that we have created a coming soon, we can kind of fill in all the specs here of what we need. And once we have that, we'll just click next, upload a picture. There's my ugly mug there. So if I want to go here and grab a picture of a property, just easily go and add that. And then I can just add more if I'd like to. After that, I just click next. Let's put a firm price on it. Let's say $950. $950, and any remarks that we want to do. And if I click this button, usually it'll throw an error because my zip code that I've entered for my demo that I'm doing doesn't match with the MLS that I have here for my demo account. But usually if I click add a manual listing, what's going to happen is it's going to show right here within your manual listings, and it's also going to update on your website. So now if a lead is on your website and they click on your agent, it's going to have my listings tab right here, and then a little window is going to pop off a little to the right here that's going to say coming soon. So now they can see all your coming soon properties. Once I have that on my website, it's really going to be no different than having any of these listings on your site, except it's just going to say coming soon here. And then from this point, now that it's on our website, we can take this link and market it on Facebook. We can also create a landing page, kind of like I've done here. Let me just kind of show you a little bit of a demo that I did. Oops. Let me go back here and open this up on a new tab for us. Let's see, here's a coming soon that I did for a landing page. Right, so let's just pretend like we have that listing agreement, with the seller. It's going to be putting on the market soon. So I just went ahead and created another landing page that says exclusive listing in Carlsbad coming soon. Be the first to submit an offer once the property becomes available. So I just added some perks about it. And then I added some additional information here. Okay, so then with this, what we're doing is we're actually just going to be getting leads or buyer leads for our seller, right? So from this point, we can add some more hashtags to it and kind of go through the process of letting our seller know that we're working for them. Now, let's just say that this actually goes on market, so it gets just listed on the MLS. What we could then do is go back here to our CRM and go right back down here to my initial seller. Let's just change this to seller. All right, and so this little field right up here, this add MLS ID if seller, what this is a listing traffic report. And what's really cool about this is that if I now have that listing on the MLS, let's just pretend this is it here. I can just take the MLS ID. I can take this from the actual MLS or from my KvCORE system. but I'm just going to take the MLS ID and I'm going to plug it right inside here. And I'm going to click Save. So now what we're going to see is now that this has automatically been changed to a client. Now that we're working with the seller, it's automatically going to change them to a client. And what's going to happen, which is really cool, is the seller is going to be emailed each week a breakdown of how many views their listing has gotten on our website. If we're actually signed into Zillow and Realtor.com too, there's a way that we can send those stats over to the seller as well. So they'll be receiving an email with a breakdown that has all the views on our website, all the views on Zillow, all the views on Realtor.com, so they know that we're actively trying to push their listing. So it makes us look really good. And that's really all we need to do for the listing traffic report here. And so from that point, once we publish this out, we can do things like holding an open house as well. So let me close out this window and talk a little bit about open house. So let's go to Lead Engine. And I'm just going to show you this tile right down here within the Lead Engine for the Open House app. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to use this thing yet, it's a really beautiful created user interface for your leads that come check out your open house. And so from here, it works for mobile phones and for tablets, both for Android and for Apple, the App Store or Play Store. And really what you can do here is specify the criteria of what you'd like to see come through to your CRM. So we can create things like, where did you hear about this open house is one of the things that you can include on your form. You can also say things like, are you currently working with an agent right here? So we can have them fill out all their information, and we can add a hashtag to the back end of the app as well when we go through the process of creating this form. And so once we do that, we can just create a hashtag that says 123 Oak Street open house. And so all of our leads that come through our form using our app are actually going to come through to our CRM, and they're all going to have that specific hashtag right down below their leads. So it's going to say open house Oak Street, open house Oak Street. And so from that point, we can do really cool things like setting our filter to only show just those open house leads, and we can select all and send them a mass email or a mass text about getting them engaged or getting some feedback from the open house and do things like that. One other thing that I wanted to mention too, because I know we're kind of short on time getting down to the wire here with our training, is along with getting this pushed out for the aspect, when I first talked about getting this thing out on Facebook, I went over publishing it free to your page, and then you can boost it if you wanted to spend some money to kind of get that more closely posted to your sellers. There is other things we can do, especially with squeeze pages. And so if I wanted to go here to Lead Engine and jump over to IDX squeeze page, I'm going to click on my website and say Start Building. And I can go here to Single Property Squeeze Page. So this is another example where we can come in and put in that MLS ID for our seller's property. And we can even just say generate our link and copy to clipboard. And that's it, right? So then we're going to go here and say paste and go. And this is how we can market that listing as well. All right, so yeah, so there's a couple steps we can kind of go through the process of getting this created. Let me see, I'm just checking my chat box for questions. Any questions so far? I know that was a lot of content, and I know the flow was kind of a little off balance, but really what I wanted to do was kind of show you not just what the tools do here within the system, but how to really build that in your business as it relates to getting that seller lead, going through the process, pushing through the coming soon, holding the open house. We can even put more emphasis on the lead engine here of doing some just listed landing pages or some just solds as well. So we can actually go into our listings tab again and change that manual listing from a coming soon to a just sold, right? And then that can just live on our website. So we have a nice archive of our sold properties. There's also a ton more that we can do here with this. We can also leverage our text codes here as well. If we wanted to go create a seller-oriented campaign, we can go down here and choose our landing page one more time. And instead of using our lead generation template, I'm going to go down here and just choose my text lead. And so what this is going to do is use your text codes that you have here within the system in conjunction with your smart number. So if I wanted to go up here first, right before I start to build this thing, I actually need to go create that text code. So let me go over here and go back to my lead engine and go to call capture. And what I'm going to do is build a text code for leads that are interested in this listing that I have, okay? So with text codes, how this works is when leads text the word search to my smart number, we're going to send them back either a custom message that we can write out and actually type out the message, or we can send them a link to a specific listing on our website. So in this case, if we're looking to get more buyer leads for our seller's property, we can just go down here and click Add New. And let's just call this Oak Street. Oak Street, right? And then we're going to come down here to the MLS ID. Like I mentioned before, we can choose either the, let's see, what was that MLS ID? Let's just make one up. Let's just say 19. Let's make one up there. But this is how we do it. We would just plug in our MLS ID right inside here, and then we just choose our smart number and click Add. And so what this is going to do is now that we've created our text code, whenever a lead texts the word Oak Street to our smart number, we're going to send them back an immediate link that goes back to our website to check out more information about that listing. So if I wanted to go use this text code I just created called Oak Street in a landing page, I would just copy that text code, go right back here to my landing page, and we're on the text lead option here. I'm just going to put in Oak Street. See, text Oak Street to my smart number. And we can say beautiful. Beautiful new listing in Carlsbad. Text below to get more details. Oop, to get more details. And like always, we can kind of add in some different specs here. If we wanted to remove them, we can actually do that too. But in this example, let me just go ahead and pull in that same image that I had for my other landing page, which is what this one here, I think it was. So this is for Google too. Just make sure that if you use these images off of Google, that we have our, let me see, what is it, tools, usage rights labeled for reuse, so it's okay that we use them. And then we can just go here and choose our images. So that's a little small. That's going to be a little blurry. We want something a little bigger. Let's do that one. So we're going to use this picture here. Again, just going to copy the image address, go back here to background, and paste in that link. Right. That's a little rude awakening there. How about a different property there? How about, let's see, this one's kind of nice. Copy image address, custom background. There we go. Cool. So then that's our text code, Oak Street there, Oak Street. And then we're good. So just click save. And so now this is a alternate way that we can get more leads for our seller, just by creating a quick little text code call to action. We can again take this link and put it on a platform like Facebook and get some more eyeballs on it so we can get some more traction and make our seller happy and inevitably get that thing sold, right? So from this point, if I were to paste that in there, we can see that it's going to pull in, let's see, text below to get more details. I would probably change that text out. I didn't realize that subtext kind of pops down below. So maybe I might change out that wording down below to say something more like, well, I don't know. It's up to you to use your own discretion on how you'd like to kind of word your landing pages a little bit. If you do get kind of bogged down with, writer's block or something like that, and you need some inspiration, here within the lead engine, we also have other examples of what other folks are using for their landing pages. So if I go here and choose on landing pages, I can go over here to landing type and then choose one of these options down below. So if I choose one, we can see that this is what Kelly Wright Real Estate is using, along with EXP, right? So there's a whole bunch of other ones we can use here to kind of get some inspiration. Cool. All right, so I'm going to kind of leave it open with these last 3 minutes that we have. Is there any feedback so far from the team? Did I go too fast? Was that clear enough? Is that valuable? I want to make sure you guys have an idea just to kind of expand a little bit outside the platform to really use these tools on how you normally would within your business. So do we understand how we're going to be making our calls and how the smart campaigns work? I know smart campaigns can be a little complex sometimes, especially when it comes down to creating them to trigger on certain events or trigger on certain sort of hashtags or creating the content. That's why we give you 21 pre-built smart campaigns to use. But perhaps on our next training, we can go through a little bit more about how smart campaigns work. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the marketplace. I don't know if I touched on this with our last training, but within the marketplace, we do have the option for you to purchase your own smart number. You can also do things like buying your own vanity domain. So if you didn't want agent name, like I have here, agent first name, last name .company.com, we can have your own vanity domain ported over. So you can just be bestrealtorever.net or .com, whatever you have there. And then if I scroll down here, and we can see other things we can do as well. So if we're wanting to push some more money toward advertising like Google for Google buyer leads, Google seller leads, or I'm sorry, Facebook buyer and seller leads, we have that as well too. So we run all the advertising for you. You just put down the initial investment for those leads to come in your CRM, and we'll send everything over to you. And then we also have some other little cool perks here. So we can cover a little bit more about that here with Marketplace. Let's see, Susan, regarding domains, I've had my own for years and point it to KvCORE, but one of your training videos says not to forward the domain with masking. Why not? Yeah, so I know that with the domains, there's been some talk about how those work. I really am not super confident with masking and forwarding. I just know that the differences here between the two is if I had, San Diego Realtor.com or something like that, and I wanted to have that forward to my KvCORE site. Currently, right now, what would happen is if I went back into the back end of GoDaddy or wherever I had my domain, I could just apply a forwarding rule that would say, whenever somebody clicks on San Diego Realtor.com, I want them to be forwarded to my website. So the web URL will still say David as agent or first name, last name .company.com, but that means you can just go out and market your San Diego Realtor.com vanity domain, and anybody clicks on it, they're just going to be forwarded over to this domain. What we have here in the marketplace allows us to keep that San Diego Realtor.com site up here on the URL, and we host that domain so that we can have your website kind of built on that. So that's the options there. I am just about out of time, guys, and I appreciate the attendance. I know that we had quite a bit of folks join in today. I hope the content I covered was extremely valuable to you, or at least semi-valuable. I think with our next training, we're going to go over a couple more aspects here of the system, but really at this point, what I could use is your feedback so far. If you're using some landing pages, if you're using some squeeze pages, if you haven't uploaded your leads yet, or whatever the case may be, feel free to relay those questions back over to John or I, and we can kind of tailor our next training to kind of go around those points. So yeah, it's been great. Happy, let us say Wednesday or Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to all of you. And then I look forward to our next training. So thanks again. Bye-bye.